Hi, you've reached Fort Wayne Christian Counseling, and this is a feeder site for my main website, which is sandratobin.com. I wanted to talk a little bit about Christian counseling and why people might choose to seek out a practitioner who is a Christian and what the value of that may be for some people. I have actually practiced all of my career within secular arenas, and while my Christian faith has not been something that is automatically drawn out within a counseling session, it is at some point sometimes something that I do use within the counseling session, because certain individuals will respond and will be asking questions and actually desiring to have a more Christ-oriented approach to their counseling. And in truth, if we really are serious in terms of looking at all of our hearts, I think there is no human being that doesn't at some point ask some of the big questions about life. Who am I? What am I here for? And what is my eternal destiny going to look like? So those kind of questions, while they may not be the reason a person may seek out counseling, they oftentimes are undergirding a lot of the internal stress that an individual may actually be walking with in their life. But apart from all of that, I think Christian counseling actually just makes sense from the standpoint of if you believe that health and wellness is probably best embodied or addressed in a holistic kind of framework. A holistic framework that would say that we are body, mind, and spirit. And I think the best kind of healing modalities, and I consider counseling to be a healing modality, the best kind of healing modalities are those that begin to try and help address some portion of each of those arenas. So for the body, people may need counsel in terms of how to achieve increased nutrition, or even certain kinds of alternative therapies may actually help along that way in terms of actually allowing the body to rebuild, because in many ways the body has tremendous potential internally for recovering and for going and changing itself toward some mode of health, provided that it has all of the resources. And oftentimes we just don't know what those internal resources are that it needs in terms of nutrients, in terms of activity, in terms of some kind of lesser assault to the body to achieve some degree of health. And by lesser assault, I'm referencing some of the drug therapies that sometimes people run to. Now, there's times where obviously you do need some of those type of therapies, and yes, there are times where definitely you do need a doctor to begin to help achieve some kind of health and wellness in that arena. But the body is just a portion of who we are. It's just the carton that we reside in, if you will. So within that, then we also look at the mind, and the mind actually can be something that trips us up in many ways, where we may have unforgiveness in the heart. We may struggle with all sorts of inner conflicts of one kind or another. We may be believing lies about ourselves and have all sorts of other blockages that prevent us from moving toward our goals and being successful. Counseling can help address those kinds of things. But then the other portion is spirit. And while not everybody recognizes that we are spirit, I as a Christian believe we most certainly are, and that where we have come into relationship with Christ, we also have been given His divine spirit to speak to us, to give us counsel, and to show us a lot of things that we need for our everyday life. So in that, I think a lot of Christians say, I think it would be helpful to speak to someone who is receiving divine counsel, as they themselves hopefully are, and hopefully choosing to. The Bible talks about the fact that there is wisdom in many counselors, but there is an inference in that, that the many counselors are themselves divinely inspired, that they themselves are spirit-led. There is not wisdom in many counselors if your counselor is operating out of a place of confusion, he or she themselves, if they are living with a lot of the same kind of lies embedded in them and are not able to at least help you address some of the things that are in the same fashion in you. So while we have to understand that, by the same token, there is no human being that is perfect in that sense and is able to provide 100% clear counsel. There's still some things that, as long as we reside down here, are going to be seen a little bit through that dark glass, that glass darkly. But there are many things that God has released for us to achieve better health, better wellness, better mental, emotional states, physical states too, because those can also be impacted by our mental states. So along those lines, I've had training in a number of Christian modalities. Some of them include things like techniques in something called Restoring the Foundations, theophostic counseling, Sanford methods, just even prayer counseling is actually quite beneficial. There's something that I've been using a lot lately, and it's very helpful for dealing with subconscious blockages. It's something that was created by a Christian psychologist. It's called Be Set Free Fast. And while he recognized that it is in some ways Christian and that he spent a lot of time in prayer as the thing began to emerge, it is not necessarily for individuals who are believers, because in truth we are all people made the same way, living as best we can in this world, and it is the Spirit of God that communes with all people of all faiths, no matter whether they choose to believe in Him or not. Ultimately, the purpose of the Holy Spirit is to draw people to a greater understanding of who Yeshua HaMashiach is and is to be for them. But in this time and season, I think He's showing us that it's important to be as healthy as possible and remove our barriers, our blockages, our lies, so that we can receive Him more fully and operate more completely as a whole person in this world. His whole ministry was designed so that we would live a life abundant. And many of us know that we are not, that our relationships are less than what we would like, that our expressions of how we view ourselves are less than what we would like, that there's conflicts with our kids, that our work performance is not what we want, our goals are always being squelched in some fashion. And I believe that there are ways that we can achieve a whole lot more completeness in this earth, and that Christian counseling is a very good venue for a person to start in to achieve some of those things. So those are just some of my thoughts on why people might choose to come to see a Christian counselor. If you have questions, if you would like more information, please contact me via this website or via the main site, sandratobin.com. Thank you.